What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a bonus episode of JaAR. JaAR, for those of you that may be new, stands for Joe
and Amy
Review. JaAR usually is our weekly show where we review the magic stories as they're posted on Wizard's website, and we will have one of those that came out today. If this is the only one that you're seeing, there's another one on the channel, and it's about the actual story from today, which you should definitely go read or watch because it was a good time. But another thing happened today, or should I say yesterday. Again, today being Wednesday, the day that the story came out, and the day that we filmed these videos. But Tuesday, yesterday, a video came out that, or an article came out, excuse me, that we really wanted to talk about. Because we've had discussions similar to this in the past. In fact, pretty recently, we talked about the live, the Twitch episode or show that Wizards of the Coast did discussing the future of Magic Story. And Tuesday, yesterday, October 9th, an article came out entitled What to Expect with Magic Story by Blake Rasmussen. Feel free to check in the description below this video and you will see the link to that article. Feel free to go and read it. It's very short. It's just a quick article, right, to give some information. So feel free to go read it. Do not take our word for anything. Go read the article for yourself. Like I said, quite short, but we wanted to discuss it. And especially if you then go read it, then you can more easily be part of that discussion with us so that you have all the same facts that we do. And anything that we have learned from outside sources, we will try to state where those sources are so that you can go find those as well. But basically, this article talked about the Magic Story to come, what their ambitions are, and interestingly, I mean, it was very similar to the reason I reference back to it, the video that we made about the last time that they talked about this topic. Although the last time it was in person, on film, and this time it was just through text and through Blake's article. And overall, I felt like it didn't really give us any new information.
Oh, it didn't. It gave us excuses.
I felt like, actually, I guess that's not technically true. I think it did tell us that there would be 5 weeks of these stories, like the one that we review in the other video, where we will be much more happy than in this one because it's just a true story review. But this was something that we had to talk about, and I'm not happy having to make 2 videos in one day, but I also didn't want this topic to take away from that story. So.
Well, we also learned in this one that this story isn't the primary story.
Right. These stories for the next 5 weeks by Nikki Davidson are stories to cover tertiary characters at best that, you know, just kind of the regular people on Ravnica, at least for this example. Regular people on Ravnica who you wouldn't get to see in the stories because, as they put it, a dragon genius is coming to try to take over the plane. And it's like, sure, you wouldn't hear from an individual Dimir agent and his family and their plight. Which, credit where credit is due, we have asked for frequently. Because stories like the Amonkhet stories, or I should say more specifically the Hour of Devastation stories, were very good. We enjoyed them greatly, and they talked about, in many of those, very random characters who Amonkhet did a good job of introducing a character at the beginning of the story, and you not really seeing them again at the after the end of that story, but you still enjoying that story and caring about that character as a person, or a god, or whatever the situation is. And that's amazing. And we've asked for that frequently because there are so many times, like the last few weeks on this channel and just in the world of Vorthos content in general, where there's just no stories. And it's like, you couldn't just come up with something random like this.
But the point is that these aren't random.
Right.
These are masquerading as the real story, and then the article calls it that.
The article
Says that they're masquerading. It basically tells us not to take them seriously.
Well, I didn't necessarily take it...
I feel like it's an insult to Nikki. I mean...
That's a fair point. I didn't take it as harshly, but I do agree with the Nikki aspect of it. But I do think that you talked about the Ravnica stories, right? We're in Guilds of Ravnica now. The set is out. There are story spotlight cards in this set. I can't name them all off the top of my head, I don't believe, but Thousand Year Storm, Assassin's Trophy, things like that. They're big plot points that I'm very interested in hearing about. Are these 5 stories going to cover those story spotlights? That wasn't told to us in this article.
Yeah, it basically told us that we weren't going to hear about that, but it didn't actually say that.
It did and it didn't, right? And so if we do in next week's story, if we get the Thousand Year Storm or Assassin's Trophy, then hey, we're proven wrong, that's great, but you don't think that's something that people want to know? Like, why would that not be something that you would announce straight off the bat? Like,
right.
talk about that maybe. And again, another discussion that we've had in the past are the lack of communication, or at least the poor communication. And that one, it seemed like, was pretty glaring. Obviously, I'm not expecting every article that Wizards puts out to touch on every question that anyone could ever possibly come up with. That is unrealistic and rude of me to think.
Right.
But you have mainline stories. They were touched on in the article. That's the reason why we're talking about this. That the main story itself, which seemed to be referenced as Greg Weisman's novels and Greg Weisman's web fiction, which they say Greg Weisman will be the one to write the web fiction as well. And then I think Blake says, we hope you like him. I've heard good things about Greg Weisman and his abilities, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
But when are those web stories coming out?
Right.
Maybe there are people, I am not one of these people, but maybe there are people out there who don't give a damn about these stories that Nikki is writing. Again, I'm not that guy, and I encourage you guys to go read those stories if you are starved for some Magic content like the rest of us are, or some Vorthos content, I should say, like the rest of us are, because it's been 4 weeks since the last one, and those were the Vivian Reed stories, which, again, we enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. And they're canon in so much as if we ever see Vivian again.
Right.
But until we do, they don't really matter. Mm-hmm. And so it's been a while since we've had stories relating to the main storyline that is supposed to be ending by the end of next year.
Yeah.
Right? We got Nicol Bolas's origins.
It encompasses 2 sets.
3 sets.
3 sets.
Yep. Which is odd to me. It's odd that information hasn't come out. And again, the last time we said this, that, hey, maybe you could tell us when stuff's happening, maybe you could tell us when stuff's not happening. The last time that this happened, there was an exclusive. And I don't remember which website got it because I don't give a damn. Well, I truly don't. And maybe that's on me, and feel free to let me know if you think that that's wrong of me in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear from you. It's never to get into an argument. I truly always want to hear your opinions. But I don't give a damn what website Wizards decided to get into some deal with so that they could be the ones to break the news about when a Magic story is coming out, because Wizards hopes that website's fans will then go read the Magic story and become lifelong fans. Because as far as, at least from my perspective, as far as Wizards is concerned, we're there already. Us Vorthos fans. You don't have to convince us. If you tell us there's a story out, The people who were going to go read it are going to go read it, no matter who talks about it. Because it's going to get tweeted and retweeted and mentioned by Wizards after the fact or whatever.
I feel like that's kind of true, though.
I do. No, I agree. I agree. But my
Which also means that new people aren't reading them.
But my concern is, why don't we have this information? Why don't we know when the canon or these side stories are in canon? But why don't we know when the mainline stories are coming out? Or if these are the mainline stories? Why don't we know this information? The article was short enough where you could have had that paragraph in there. You could have given us a date. Vorthos J.
But then they would have had to commit to something.
Right. Vorthos J, Jay and Ellie was mentioned in this article. And can I say, congratulations to Jay on his new position. It's contractual or whatever it may be. That is none of my business and frankly none of my concern at this point. What I care about is that he has gotten this position. He is very worthy of this position. We have talked about him on this show in the past many times. And so once again, congratulations to him and to his Vorthos cast family. And you should definitely go and check them out as well, because hashtag not sponsored, just fans of their product and fans of their ability and their knowledge. And you should go check out that stuff, because Jay was very vocal for the Dominaria stories of how truly sad it was that continuity was so...
Just missing the mark?
Yeah. It just was so lacking. It was so not present at all in certain aspects of that story. And it was, frankly, really disheartening.
Yeah.
Because this was the start of their run with this new type of storytelling, which again was hammered home big time in this article, because if you haven't heard, they're doing this new kind of storytelling where they hire outside authors. Which, again, credit where credit is due, they have been consistently good. And I would say consistently well written by these authors. I have enjoyed it. And there have not been any where you're like, wow, why did you pick this person? You know what I mean? Like, there have been slip-ups, but from our estimation and our opinions, a lot of that was on Wizards' side, not on the author's sides. And so, I appreciate the fact that they've brought in these authors. Okay. And I think it's something that they should be very proud of. But we get it. Right, we've heard that already. There are a lot of other questions that you just didn't touch on at all that we would love to know about. Like when is the when's the
I completely disagree.
Okay, please go ahead.
I think that them bringing in these authors is not something that they should be proud of.
Okay.
It's something that they should be ashamed of. And I think that this article is proof of them possibly realizing that that's the case, because I feel like yet again mentioning it just means they're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this decision after everyone has said bad decision.
Interesting. I definitely did not take it that way.
No?
No, because I have always, and not to say that, in fact, out of the two of us, Amy is the business person here and I'm not. So maybe this is why I might be wrong on this. But my feeling is that from a business standpoint, getting rid of 6, 7 different positions, whatever that number was, of people that left Wizards of the Coast because that story team was being changed around and going with their artist model for their authors, to me, I can agree with that looking at it through a business lens because it is drastically cheaper for them to do that while still arguably getting the same quality of content. And again, that's from their perspective. We, as Vorthos fans, might have a different perspective in terms of, hey, this is lacking though now. And what about this? And what about this? But from the business side of it, at least me on the outside looking in, I saw it as, okay, I get it. You were able to eliminate X number of positions, whatever number of jobs that was. They were presumably full-time paying, full-time salaried and benefited positions that now you've been able to eliminate and do contract work.
But it's not at the same quality.
Well, and that's what I said. That's why I say
because
from their
regardless
perspective.
of how good any of these writers may be at writing, they're not knowledgeable enough on the subject matter. Period.
Well,
and we've seen that time and time again, and we've seen rebuttals of that were lacking, and yet again, I feel like we're gonna keep seeing it, because there's just no way to adequately inform all of these just rotating door of people how, the intricacies of each of these planes and how magic works and whatever else. It just doesn't make sense. I think, like I said, they keep on doubling down on this decision by repeating it over and over again because so many people have complained about the continuity issues, which is why in this article they referenced Vorthos J, because they've basically announced in this video that they're giving him a position to
keep continuity.
To keep the continuity. And as amazing as that may be for him, what does that say about their abilities to handle their continuity issues? That they have to bring in a fan to do that for them.
And again, from our perspective, a well-deserving, very knowledgeable fan, taking absolutely nothing away from him at all in any of this.
And that's the point. That's why they hired him, because they know he's right for the job.
Mm-hmm.
And he is.
Mm-hmm. Because he's called them out on their nonsense.
Right.
After they got rid of some of their most knowledgeable people in terms of the histories of these planes and these characters. And so you do have to essentially outsource it.
Right. And so I there's no doubt in my mind that they need him. And there's no doubt in my mind that, like I said, he's right for the job. But I don't see how it makes them look good as a company to decide that, well, we tried this model and we've been having issues, so instead of trying to figure out a different way to go about this, we're just going to hire in somebody who is good at spotting our mistakes and ask him to just keep on doing that. Like, okay, well, I mean, you see the problem. You are at least admitting that to yourself, regardless of the fact that you're not, in so many words, admitting it to us. And you're fixing the problem by hiring someone who can fix the problem, but it's doing it that way instead of saying, oh, you know what, we did make a mistake, maybe we hire some people back, maybe we do something a little bit different in terms of trying to keep consistencies. Just bring in a fan who knows what he's talking about, because we don't. So we'll throw our hands up and push it on over to him, because he knows what he's doing.
Now,
okay, whatever.
who knows? Maybe by the time this video comes out, we've gotten the answers to the question of when do the stories, the main storyline stories actually begin. Because as we discussed last week when we talked about Project Lightning Bug, that story, we learned that how Project Lightning Bug operates, which is that when a planeswalker planeswalks in or out, there's like a little bit of lightning, and Ralzeric is able to notice it, but it's otherwise unnoticeable to everybody else because it just looks like part of the storm. But Ral, being a storm mage that he is, knows the difference and is like, okay, a planeswalker either just showed up or just left, and that's why I was having this discussion with Amy the other day. That's why Thousand Year Storm is a thing. Thousand Year Storm is a thing because the story spotlight card, because of all the planeswalkers that are going to show up. And so it's a big storm because it's a lot of notifications of like, and now this person, and now this one, and this one, and we can talk about that in main story jars, but I want to know, like, it's clearly something that's happening. Assassin's Trophy, while being an amazing card, is also very intriguing for the story implications. When are we getting it? When are we getting the mainline stories? Because, spoilers, I guess, if you haven't watched our actual main JaAR episode that came out today, Lazav was in this one. So we had a carded, like, named legendary creature / character show up in these stories. But from the sounds of it, this is a 5-week story that shows the denizens, not everybody else. We're not going to see Varaska and Gerard and Ralzeric and Niv Mizzet and all those characters.
All the people that we actually know.
Right. Which, again, if we had the information for when we were going to see that, I am not in any way complaining that we are getting these tertiary stories, because we've been asking for that. And again, that would be super hypocritical. And I always try to, like, be aware of hypocrisy and, like, keep it out, where I'm like, 2 years ago, I'm like, you should do this. And then when they do it, I'm like, this is stupid. Why'd they do that? You know what I mean? Like, we've been asking for these kind of minor stories, these minor characters for a while, and written well. And we will see over the next 5 weeks. I mean, go watch this week's JaAR, today's other JaAR, to see what we thought of that story. But like I said, we will be a lot happier in that one than we are in this one. So spoilers again, I guess. But that's what I'm talking about. Is that these are the things that, why don't we know this? Why doesn't someone tell us this information? Why didn't this article tell us? And again, because I've been burned before, my first thought was, I wonder who has the exclusive on this one.
Right.
Because it sure as hell isn't us. And I don't mean us like Amy and Joe on JaAR Geek for All. I mean us as in the Vorthos community. Thank you, that was fun. I don't have much more to say because I feel like I'm going to just repeat myself over and over again. I genuinely would love your opinions in the comments down below. What do you think? Did you appreciate this article? Were you only happy because you were like, great, more information, whereas we were like, it wasn't really that much information? Tell us what you thought, please, in the comments down below. We would really appreciate hearing from you, hearing all of your opinions. Like I said, it'll be linked up here somewhere. Please go check out the actual JaAR that we put out today, because the Ravnica stories started today. Can we talk about this? The Guilds of Ravnica stories started today. So please go check out that JaAR. Go read the story. Be back. Be happy to be back. Not just on Ravnica, but back to the Magic stories. Back to the old grind, if you will, of every Wednesday coming, sitting down, reading the stories. Hopefully then coming on Thursday and watching us talk about it. But whatever you do, to show off your...
Hashtag Vorthos Pride.
Just be happy that you're back doing it again. Like I said, please let us know what you thought of this topic, of that article, in the comments below. Once again, check the description to read the article if you have not done so yet.
Maybe you see some details in there that we missed.
Right.
That help us feel a little bit better.
Yeah, please. Let us know any and all of your thoughts. And once again, please pass along your congratulations to Vorthos J and the Vorthos cast family, because it's definitely well deserved. Please don't take our comments as criticism or hate towards him or that group, because that's the opposite of what we're going for. So congratulations to him. We look forward to seeing the impact of his presence in the coming months, years, etc.
Yes.
Because
we definitely look forward to that.
Exactly. So this has been a bonus episode of JaAR here on Geek for All. I have been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
And as we always say, guys, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.